Hey guys, back with another video, and I haven't done a video essay for a pretty, it's been a while, but I'm back with another one that I've been thinking for a while now, ever since the World Cup qualifying ended, which was about like a few weeks ago. I've been thinking of doing this video essay for a while. It's another rise of this time the incredible rise of a national team. That national team is North Macedonia, because just maybe 10 years ago, no one probably had heard of this national team. And now everyone's going crazy. Maybe not crazy, but pretty big about it because they're doing so good, and they almost made it to the World Cup. They could have beat Portugal. So let's go over their career and what an incredible rise in this national team. So let's get into this straight away. So North Macedonia, it's a country Southeast Europe. Kind of near like Kosovo, Serbia, Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, kind of those countries. Before February 2019, it was actually called only Macedonia. Now it's called North Macedonia. The country has 1.83 billion people. Yeah, I mean, no. Why did I say billion? 1.83 million people. And the national team, it only began a little while ago. Before it was a country, it was part of Yugoslavia for a long time until it gained independence in 1991. That's when it gained independence. And ever since then, there hasn't really been a lot talked about the country. There's not like a lot of big things. But now let's get into the national team. I said a little bit about North Macedonia. Now let's get into the national team. So the North Macedonian football team, it has been around for a while. It's been around since obviously 1991. So yeah, before 1991, when it became its own country, between like 1945 and 1991, it was called the SR Macedonia, the Socialist Republic of Macedonia, but it was part of Yugoslavia, but it was allowed to play official matches, and they also played games for the SFR Yugoslavia, and some Macedonian players actually played for Yugoslavia. Their first official match as their own country came in Slovenia. Came in a 4-1 win against Slovenia on October 13th, 1993. 1993 was their first year of being a national team. 1991 was when North Macedonia gained independence. In 1994, Macedonia, because it was not North Macedonia before, it became a member of FIFA and UEFA after the independence and split of Yugoslavia. And obviously I already said their first win, so that's pretty good. And then, so their first kind of qualifying was for the Euro 1996 qualifiers. That was their first ever major qualifying tournament that they would compete in, but they would be in a really hard group: Spain, Denmark, Belgium, Cyprus, and Armenia. So it was really good. The first game was actually against reigning European champions Denmark, and somehow they tied 1-1. I do not know how. But unfortunately, it would not be good. They didn't make it to Euro 96. They finished 4th behind Spain, Denmark, and Belgium. So ahead of Cyprus and Armenia, but they did actually suffer their worst defeat, one of the worst ever defeats to this date, in a 5-0 loss. So yeah. And then for 1998 World Cup qualifiers, it would be their first ever World Cup qualifying. They will be with Romania, Ireland, Lithuania, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. So the only real big ones were Romania and Ireland, and even those aren't like that big. And they started off well, winning 3-0 against Liechtenstein. They also made their biggest win ever to date, an 11-1 win against Liechtenstein. Macedonia also beat Ireland 3-2, but unfortunately failed to make it to the 1998 World Cup with finishing fourth for just 13 points. So I know it's their first ever World Cup qualifying, but maybe you would expect them to do better considering the group they were in, like Lithuania, Liechtenstein, Iceland. Maybe expected to do a bit better, but unfortunately they did. So for 2000 Euro qualifiers, they would be with Netherlands and Belgium. Netherlands and Belgium saw them grouped with the FR Yugoslavia, which was like Serbia and Montenegro at the time, Republic of Ireland, Croatia, and Malta. And they won opening against Malta, so very good. But unfortunately, they were not able to make it, finishing fourth, which is 8 points. For 2002 World Cup qualifiers, second time going up, they were Sweden, Turkey, Slovakia, Moldova, and Azerbaijan. Considering the group they were in, it wasn't horrible, but unfortunately, again, they didn't make it again. They finished fourth for just 7 points. And this time they also started bad, losing 2-0 to Slovakia. And now it's kind of like the okay part, but also like not good part. It was like kind of like the ups and downs period. It was in Euro 2004 qualifiers. They would be with England, Turkey, Slovakia, and Liechtenstein. They played England in Southampton their first game. That was actually their first time playing in Southampton in almost 100 years, for a fun fact. But in their first game against England, and in a 2-2 draw. Like, wow. And then they lost 2-1. So, that was very good. Like, almost beating England would be something crazy. And unfortunately, they would not be able to make it to Euro 2004, obviously losing against England. 2006 World Cup qualifiers now. They'll be drawn with Netherlands, Czech Republic, Romania, Finland, Armenia, and Andorra for this one. And they started off well with a 3-0 win against Armenia, but they did not win another home game, for 3 more years. It just tells how bad the ride was for them. So yeah, then like things just started not doing well. They tied 2-2 against Netherlands, but then they lost 6-1. Czech Republic, the most ever conceded in a game to this date. So yeah, it would not be good, and like there was a lot of coaching issues, and they didn't make it to 2006 World Cup qualifiers, and yeah, it just wasn't great. And they would actually compete in a 2006 qualifying tournament. In November 2005, they actually took part in a friendly tournament in Iran, consisting of 4 teams: Macedonia, Iran, Paraguay, and Togo. So, pretty cool. And would they be able to win? Well, they won against Iran, and then made it to the finals against Paraguay, and then lost again. So, yeah, not great. But there were some very good players coming up at the time. Goran Pandev, one example. He was their captain for a very long time. So yeah, for Euro 2008 qualifiers, their former coach Sreko Katanak was appointed back to the manager. For Euro 2008, they'll be placed in Group E with England, Croatia, Russia, Israel, Estonia, and Andorra. So, and then like it didn't go well. So this month it wasn't great. It really wasn't great. And they did win against group winners Croatia. So that was very good. It was actually crazy because they also, after that win, they put themselves in the top 10 of the FIFA World Rankings, their highest ever to date. So That was crazy, but unfortunately they failed to make it out with just with 14 points, finishing 5th. 2010 World Cup qualifiers now. For 2010, unfortunately, it would not be so great. They, obviously, it will be home in South Africa. They will be in Netherlands, Scotland, Norway, and Iceland. So, yeah. So, they start off pretty well. They play in friendlies against Serbia, Bosnia, and Poland, which all in draws, kind of oddly. They start off well winning against Scotland. So, very good. That was very good. Then they actually went to 46th in the FIFA World Rankings, which is also very good. But like their coach was getting really annoyed at Goran Pandev, obviously who we talked about, and that actually forced him to actually resign. I forgot the name of how to say that, but let's just call it that. Unfortunately, they would miss out on the World Cup again, losing to Scotland and then Norway in the qualifiers. And then, this was actually the big resurgence. This was kind of like the period where they started doing a lot better. Euro 2012 now. Back to Euros. They will be with Russia, Slovakia, Ireland, Armenia, and Andorra. So they played against Azerbaijan, Romania, and Malta in their first games, winning 2 of those and drawing against 1. So very good. But unfortunately, they finished 5th, which was not very good. They only got 2 wins against Andorra, 2 draws against Armenia and Slovakia, and it was not great. They finished 5th. In that group that had Russia, Slovakia, Ireland, Armenia, and Andorra. I mean, they only finished ahead of Andorra, finishing behind Armenia, Ireland, Slovakia, and Russia. It's not great. So, 2014 World Cup qualifiers. They'll be with Russia, Croatia, Serbia, Belgium, Scotland, and Wales. So for this World Cup qualifying, it would be better, but unfortunately, again, they didn't make it out. They lost to Wales and Serbia, which meant they finished last in their group. To be fair, it was a hard one, but last in your group is never something you like. Euro 2016, for 2016 World Cup qualifiers, they'll be with Spain, Ukraine, Slovakia, Belarus, and Luxembourg. And it didn't start well. They lost 5-1 to Spain, so not great. And they were losing to Slovakia, Luxembourg, and then their last match against Belarus, they drawed. Which they didn't even get a win in the Euro 2016 qualifiers, 7 losses and 1 draw. And they finished last again. 2018 World Cup qualifiers. So for this one, obviously it will be home in Russia. So their remember Goran Pandev? He was actually on a 2-year hiatus away from the national team, and he'll come back for 2018. Unfortunately, it started off not good. They lost to Albania, not good. They also lost to Israel, not good. Then they got destroyed by Spain, 4-0, and they had not scored a single point. That was actually their worst ever qualifying start ever. Then they finally went against Liechtenstein. Then they lost 2-1 to Spain, and then they lost to Israel. So. And then they tied against Albania, finishing second to last, only ahead of Liechtenstein. And then for 2018, 2018-19, there will be this new thing called the Nations League. Macedonia will be placed in League D, the lowest division. They were with Armenia, Liechtenstein, Gibraltar. They should have gone through. And they did. They won 5 games and only lost 1. And then they will be for League C. And now they're they're in North Macedonia, and then which officially ensured a place in the Euro 2020 qualifying places. For the qualifying for the Euros for 2020, they were with Austria, Israel, Latvia, Poland, and Slovenia. So they would be able to draw against Slovenia 1-1. And then they lost, and then they won, 3-1 against Latvia at home. So, but then they will lose against Poland 1-0, and then lose 4-1 to Austria. Then they tied 1-1 against Israel, won 2-1 against Slovenia, and then lost 2-0 against Poland, and then they actually won 2-1 to Austria, and then they ended up in 3rd place. So very good. So although they successfully taken 1st place in the Nations League earlier, North Macedonia was able to reach the country's first ever competitive playoff in history, and they will be playing Kosovo. So that's crazy. Because they won their Nations League group and finished 3rd, they would be playing in their first ever playoffs for a major tournament, and it will be playing against Kosovo. In Euro 2020, in the qualifying playoffs, they would win 2-1 against Kosovo, which sent them through. And then they faced Georgia in the PAF D playoffs, winning 1-0. So absolutely crazy. So, and then it's because they won League D in the Nations League, North Macedonia were promoted to Group C, and then they all end up losing to Austria, Ukraine, and the Netherlands, finishing behind all of them. But because of that win against Georgia, they would be competing in their first ever Euros. They made their debut, although it would be in 2021 because obviously the COVID pandemic. It was in 2021. Unfortunately, they struggled, and they had Austria, Ukraine, Netherlands, and it was really hard. They unfortunately finished last in the group, losing all games from a -6 goal differential. Only Ukraine did. It was Netherlands and Austria, then Ukraine and North Macedonia. So unfortunate, but that just sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. So yeah. The final though, qualifying 2022 World Cup qualifiers. After just making it to the Euros, they could be on for the World Cup qualifying. So they would be with Germany, Romania, Iceland, Armenia, and Liechtenstein. They would in their first match they lost 2-1 against Germany. So and then my bad. This day was a day to go down in North Macedonia history. On the third match day, something crazy happened in Duisburg, Germany. They would somehow, and I still do not know how to this day, they won 2-1 to Germany at Germany. So if you guys haven't got this clear, at Germany they won 2-1 against Germany, which was Germany's first World Cup qualification defeat since 2001, and only the 3rd in their history. Absolutely crazy. In their last 2 games against Armenia and Iceland, they would win both 5-0 away against Armenia and 3-1 against Iceland, which put them second in their group, qualifying for the European Championship, for the World Cup playoffs, and where they will be playing Italy in Palermo, and if they did win, they would play Portugal or Turkey. So yeah, let's just go over this. They finished second in their group, only 1 point ahead of Romania, and they finished behind Germany. And March 24th, 2022 will probably go down as at least one of the most famous days on North Macedonia history. In Palermo, it's no. It's a night sky, and the 92nd minute, Alexander Trajavoski scores in the 92nd minute against Italy to send them through to the playoff finals, where they would be playing Portugal, because Portugal won against Turkey 3-1. And that day will go down for a very long time with North Macedonians, because they beat Italy, who are a is it 3 or 4? No, it's a 4. Is it 4? Yeah, it's 4-time World Cup winners. And this day will be horrified by Italians because it will be the second time in a row and third time in history that they did not make the World Cup. Now, unfortunately, on March 29th, 2022, they will be playing against Portugal, and unfortunately, they lost 2-0. Bruno Fernandes scored a double, but let's be real. The story of this nation and this national team is really one that's crazy because they went from, in only just like a few years, like they were finishing near the almost at the bottom and like every single like qualifying, and then all of a sudden in the Euros and World Cup qualifiers this and last year, they somehow almost made the World Cup, beating Italy, beating Germany, beating all these World Cup winners. And if it weren't for losing against Portugal 2-0, we could have seen North Macedonia in the World Cup. I think it's a shame because I do think they deserve to be in the World Cup after that performance. And you guys should hear about the story because I hope you guys like hearing this video about going through their whole history, going through all the stats. Because this national team, I just hope that I can do well in the future because I have loved making this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but now it's here. Hope you guys like this video. This incredible small nation it almost made it to the World Cup. They were so close. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.